What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome into something I haven't done in a while, a series preview. Unfortunately, my schedule's just been tough to do these, but I definitely want to get this one up because this is kind of a fun team to talk about here. The Oakland Athletics come into town to face the Seattle Mariners for a 3-game set, and the A's have kind of been a sneaky surprise team this year. They're 18-21, which is not a good record, but this was a team that I think a lot of people thought would be down there with Chicago, Colorado, and teams like that near the bottom. And they've hung pretty tough and played some pretty good ball and some inspired baseball, I think, as well, because a lot going on for that team and that fan base. And players are giving that fan base something to cheer about this year. I still don't think they're that good overall. I expect them to drop off, and they think they've got a chance to finish above the Angels, to be honest. But I do expect a bit of a drop off from them as the year goes around. I do think the Mariners are the better team, and it's a series we should expect the Mariners to win. With that said, though, as I looked into the numbers, I was a little bit more impressed with the A's than I thought I would be. Thought I was going to find a lot of just very good luck, and a team that's just not very good. But I think it's a team that is actually played all right. Like, they have not been a bad baseball team. They're not a bad baseball team that's just happened to win some games to get lucky, if that makes sense. They've played all right. That they are not terrible by any means. Like I said, we'll see where it ends up going with the A's, but the Mariners will begin a 3-game set with them starting on Friday. A pretty good pitching matchup Friday. Paul Blackburn goes for the A's, former Mariner prospect. He was traded for Danny Valencia before 2017. And he will be opposed by making his season debut. Brian Wu will be on the mound for the Mariners. The Mariners will go with Wu, Miller, and Castillo in this series. The A's are going with Blackburn. Then it's to be determined, but I think it's going to be Alex Wood and Ross Stripling in the next 2 games. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Those are the 3 pitchers I'll talk about. If it ends up being someone else, I do apologize. First, let's take a look at Mr. Paul Blackburn, and let me pull up his numbers here. Blackburn on the year, 3.94 FIP, 3.0 ERA, 42 innings pitched, 31 strikeouts, 10 walks, fastball, slider, cutter, curveball, and change for Blackburn. Paul Blackburn is one of those pitchers where, like, he is good enough to shut you down, and he's also a pitcher that the Mariners should be able to possibly do some damage against. Like, when I think of Paul Blackburn, I think of the epitome of 6 innings, 3 earned runs. And I don't mean that as a negative. Like, he's a solid middle back of the rotation guy. He's actually a guy I talked about last season for the Mariners possibly acquiring at the deadline with, Marco being out for the year, Miller and Wu slowing down a little bit. I thought Blackburn would be an interesting pickup if he was available, and a perfect guy to kind of anchor the back end of your rotation a little bit. So Blackburn's off to a nice start. Again, I don't think there's anything that you go, oh man, the Mariners can't hit Paul Blackburn outside of the Mariners offense just scuffling and striking out. Not a lot of strikeouts for Blackburn in 42 innings, like I said, 31 strikeouts. So we'll see if maybe Mariners can cut back on the strikeouts, put some balls in play against Blackburn and make something happen. Certainly, like I said, he's certainly capable of pitching a good game, but it is someone that you would hope the Mariners can find a way to push a few runs across against him. He'll be, like I said, opposed by Brian Wu. And then we've got Wood and Stripling. Just real quick, Wood, a 5.03 FIP on the year, 5.30 ERA. He struggled a little bit. Strapling's ERA is high at 5.14, but his FIP is at 3.74. Excuse me, did I switch it? Wood is the 5.03 FIP, 5.3 ERA. Stripling is the 5.14 ERA, 3.73 FIP. I don't know if I reversed them there. Wood's a lefty, so we will, if he does pitch in this series, we'll see the Mariners tried out their lefty lineup. We'll see if Josh Rojas gets some at-bats against lefties. So listen, I mean, 3 guys that have been around a while. Blackburn, Wood, and Stripling are not new to baseball. They've been pitching for years. All 3 are capable. All 3 are also guys that, if the Mariners can get going, that they should be able to get some runs against as well. The A's are 15th in baseball in WRC plus at 101. They are actually an above average offense so far this season, better than the Mariners, who sit at 20th in baseball in WRC plus with a 97 WRC plus. So the A's are trotting out so far a better offense than Seattle Mariners, and they are getting some good production from some guys. Brent Rooker, 182 WRC plus. Abraham Toro, former friend, with a 134 WRC plus. Tyler Nevin, Phil Nevin's son, 120 WRC plus. Former top prospect of the Marlins, JJ Bleday, is breaking out with a 119 WRC plus. Shea Langoliers having a bit of a breakout year with a 114 WRC plus. Estri Ruiz, 112 WRC plus. And that doesn't factor in that he's a guy that can easily steal a base when he gets on. Brett Harris, one of their prospects, has come up. He's running 142 WCR plus and 57 at-bats. They are getting some nice production from some guys. Do I think Rooker's going to run a 182 WRC plus all season? Of course not. Toro should come back down to earth a little bit, and you would think Nevin as well. But guys like Bleday, Langoliers, Ruiz, I'm not sure how Lawrence Butler's doing. I didn't find his numbers. He's a good young player that they've had up this year and last year. And then Brett Harris as well, kind of breaking out a little bit too. So, I mean, there are some guys in this lineup. It has been at least a tad above average this year. Like I said, I don't expect all those guys to keep up the numbers necessarily, but they've gotten some pretty good production, and they're a lineup I think you should have confidence in the Mariners pitching getting out. But it's certainly a lineup that can get you if you're not prepared for it. The A's are also 15th in 15th in FIP in baseball at 3.91. Now the Mariners do have them beat there. The Mariners are 4th in FIP in baseball, but looking at FIP and WRC plus, the A's haven't been bad at anything. Their offense is, right around the league average, pitching right around the league average. So, I mean, and that's kind of what their record is, right? They're about 500-ish, a little bit below. Like I said, I kind of thought when I pulled up these numbers, I was going to find a team that was like 23rd in WRC plus, 20th in FIP, and that they were just getting lucky to win some games. Now, again, I think they'll drop off a little bit. I don't think that offense will keep up those numbers, but it is clearly a team that has shown marked improvement. I think Mark Kotze deserves some credit there, keeping these guys buying in despite a really tough situation for the A's. And guys, it doesn't get easy. Their back of their bullpen is lights out. Mason Miller, Lucas Urseg, and Austin Adams have been ridiculously good at the back end of the bullpen. Mason Miller has a negative FIP. If you are trailing after 8 innings to the A's, you are going to lose because Mason Miller is going to shut you down. He might be the best relief pitcher in baseball. There's a rumor that the A's are listening to trade offers for him. I think it's going to cost you a lot to get Mason Miller. Listen, I know relievers aren't always the most expensive guys to acquire at trade deadlines, but Mason Miller absolutely should be. Now, Urseg, maybe a little bit cheaper, but even there, 13 Ks per 9, a 3 FIP for him. And our old friend Austin Adams is striking out 12 batters per 9 inning with a 2.61 FIP. Back end of the bullpen is nasty for the Oakland A's, and I think that's legit. Now, I mean, Mason are going to run negative FIP all year. That might be not possible, but those are 3 arms that are absolutely legitimately good. If the A's end up dropping out of contention and the Mariners stay afloat, the talk's going to be Mason Miller. I think Austin Adams would be a really, really interesting addition for the Mariners. We've seen Austin Adams, obviously 2019 was really good in the Mariners bullpen, then just suffered some injuries. Really wasn't able to get back out there. Then I believe he was in the Ty France Andres Munoz trade to the Padres and just never really picked up their pitch for the D-backs last year. But he is healthy and pitching really well for the A's. Would be a really neat acquisition. And obviously the Mariners losing Taylor Saucedo for a little bit. Matt Brash, again, don't know his status in terms of, we haven't heard anything. I think we're supposed to hear something tomorrow from Justin Hollander on that. And then Santos, hopefully hear something tomorrow too. But Adams would be an interesting name to look at. I think that would make sense. You're not going to get Mason Miller. You're not. It's going to cost you too much. Austin Adams is probably someone you can afford to get. That might be a little tougher within the division, but it's a name I would look out for the Seattle Mariners for bullpen help, and assuming the A's do end up selling a little bit. Listen, the A's look better. Again, they look better than I thought they would when I pulled up the numbers. I really thought I was going to walk into a team that was just massively overperforming. Now, I do think they have some guys overperforming, but it hasn't been, so far what they've done is not fluky, essentially. They have actually played some pretty decent ball. And It's not going to be an easy series for the Mariners. Listen, the Mariners beat up on the A's last year. The A's only beat them once. It was a game in Seattle where Kirby was scratched, Luke Weaver started. I think Julio was scratched as well. And the Mariners, I think, still at the tying run at third in the ninth inning of that game. That was the only time the A's beat the Mariners last year. So that means you went, 11-1 against them? Probably not going to happen again this year. I mean, first of all, even if the A's were still as bad as they were, asking a team to go 11-1 against another team is a difficult task. So this is another series. If you can take 2 out of 3, I'm fine with it. And I'm always going to be fine with that. It's hard to sweep. It is, no matter who you're playing, it is hard to sit here and go, I expect a team to win 3 in a row. I mean, it's going to happen, but it's hard to just anticipate that. If you can win 2 out of 3 here, I feel pretty good about it. Now, you're again, another series where you're going to have the starting pitching matchup advantage, probably in all 3. I would take Brian Wu over Paul Blackburn. I'm going to take Bryce Miller over whoever starts game 2, and I'm going to take Luis Castillo, whoever starts for the A's game 3. I do think the Mariners offense is better than the A's. Right now it's not, but I do think it will be at the end of the year. The back of the bullpen is going to be very hard. If you are trailing, like I said, after 6-7 innings against the A's, it's going to be very, very hard to rally against them. So the offense has got to get some damage done against the A's starting pitching. You've got to get some runs early, not allow them to use that back end of the bullpen, and hope that the Mariners pitching is what you need to kind of, I don't want to say cool off the A's bats, because they haven't been, it's not like their offense has been lights out, but your starting pitching should be enough where I don't think the A's are going to go gangbusters on you for a bunch of runs here. It'll be interesting to see, one, what the roster move is for Brian Wu. I was going to say Cody Bolton, but with Bizzardo throwing 2 innings today, we'll see. It might be Tyson Miller. Honestly, Miller threw 2 innings today. I could see maybe Tyson Miller going down. Bizzardo's stuff looks really good. I'd like to keep him up on the big league squad. Miller or Bolton, I mean, either way, I can stomach either one of those guys going back down. We'll see the roster move. We'll see how they handle Brian Wu in his first start. I imagine there'll be a bit of a pitch limit, maybe 80 to 85, something like that. But your bullpen's a little bit taxed. So that's why I think obviously you have to make the roster move for Wu. Wouldn't totally shock me if there's another roster move to bring up another reliever as well here. So the Mariners are also going to be able to kind of push back guys a little bit. So actually, no, because Wu's going to push Miller back. Castillo's still going to, because Castillo would have pitched game 2 if this was the normal rotation, because you would have had Miller go tomorrow, then Castillo. So you push everybody back a day. Now, I'm not an advocate for a 6-man rotation. I don't want Gilbert, Kirby, or Castillo sacrificing starts, but I think it's a good idea, just give them all an extra day off by bringing up Brian Wu here on Friday, and then that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. I don't want a 6-man rotation, but I have no problem like pushing everybody back a day, especially during a stretch here where we just don't have a lot of days off. So I'm actually really looking forward to this series. I'm actually excited to see the A's. They've actually been a fun team to watch, and it's kind of the difference of expectations, right? Like, if the Mariners were doing what the A's have been doing this year, we'd be livid at 18-21 with a negative, what's the run differential? 40? Negative 28. The Angels were negative 40. I mean, it's just kind of like the expectations of things. We'd be upset about that. But for the A's, it's been a pretty promising start for them. And if you're a fan of the team, I know there's some frustration with everything, but just of the team, you've got to be pretty happy. Whereas the Mariners are coming in 20-18, and we're kind of like, come on, guys, let's pick it up and let's get going. So, listen, I do think the Mariners, I'm positive the Mariners are the better baseball team of the two. You're coming home. This is a series you should win at home. I still, at the end of the day, think the A's are probably a 90-loss team when the dust settles on this year, especially if they sell some guys too. That's going to hurt them a little bit, as well, and make that roster a little bit worse. That's not a knock on the A's. They have been legitimately impressive so far. But the Mariners need to win this series. They need to win it. They need to at least take 2 out of 3 here. I'd hope for more. That'd be great. Hard to predict sweeps. So, give me 2 out of 3. I'll be happy. But yeah, it should be an interesting homestand. A couple feisty teams, the A's and the Royals coming in, that are much improved from last season. So we'll see what they are able to bring to the table. Hopefully the Mariners can get the series win, and excited to see Brian Wu's season debut tomorrow night. Remember to hit that like button, hit subscribe as well. Leave your comments down below. It's going to be Friday morning when this video comes out. I'm making it Thursday night, but you guys will be watching this Friday morning. So enjoy your Friday, and I will see you all tonight for the post-game recap. As always, go Mariners. Peace.